Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
$11:02 on The Lock Shop. Thank you very much for being here today. That was smooth. That was smooth YouTube travel, looking good. Going from the wide shot onto the main shot here. Terrific stuff. Terrific stuff. Hustle's going to be joining us right away. P. Greg, you'll be by a little bit later on. It is Wednesday. It is golf day, so we will get into that. If you're watching over on YouTube today, hammer the thumbs up for us. The Edmonton Oilers continue to struggle. Jets have dropped a few as well, and I mean Toronto. We get into that with P. Greg a little bit when he joins us as well. If you are watching over on YouTube today, hammer the thumbs up for us. We will get in to that as well. Matt Hyman says, Huss, thanks for the last minute afternoon delight yesterday. LOL. Lock Shop partner parlay hit as well. So that was a terrific day. And 2-0, following up Huss's 5-0 last week on the Lock Shop play of the day. I started 2-0 this week. So a lot of pressure to keep this streak running right now. But yeah, things are going pretty well. Let's bring in Huss. Huss, I have to say, man, I love this blue shirt. I love this bright WST blue, buddy. It looks nice.
Vibes are high today, Dusty. Coming
as
off
they should
a
be.
Great night in the Lock Shop. I'm excited for, in an hour, our 1,000th show of WST, if you can believe that. 4 years in.
This is
4
the
years
day.
minus 2 days. 1,000 shows today. So we got a banger.
I can't believe you're at 1,000 shows already. Like, I remember when we had the conversation when your station shut down. You're like, what do you think? What should we do? I was just like, man, I can't believe it's at 1,000 shows. That's amazing,
it's
buddy.
Crazy, man. We turned it around fast. I mean, we got whacked on February 9th of 2021, and our first show was March 8th.
Yeah, so less than a month.
And then it was kind of off to the races. Shout out to Remus, who went to the University of YouTube for 3 weeks to figure out what the hell we were going to do. And obviously, we had great support here in the city. And from a lot of Winnipeggers outside the city as well, as I'm sure you guys feel that too, of people kind of trying to stay tuned to their local scene. So, yeah, it's been awesome. And then obviously working with you and seeing EST get going after your inevitable whacking by our former employers. So, yeah, we're in a good place. But I'll tell you what, I was already excited for today. But coming off last night, even a little more fired up because nothing gets the blood boiling like a couple nice winners. Shout out to Matt Hyman. He did mention that in, yes. On our Coolbet line segment on WST, it was about 3:15 local time when we did it yesterday. And it may have been Matt, actually, that asked if I had an afternoon delight. And put it together, a 3-gamer plus 818 curling parlay that cashed.
Plus 818?
Plus 818. We had Carruthers at plus 170. We had Tyler Tardy in Newfoundland plus 4.5 rocks at even money. And we had Gushu to cover. And it all came in. And it was funny. I was watching the Jet game and hadn't really been watching the curling. I thought, oh, we should check in on the afternoon delight. And I didn't just go to Coolbet. I went to the curling zone and just checked each game. I'm like, oh, we got one. Carruthers, yes, that was our plus 170. Ooh, Gushu's done it. And then Tardy came through. He lost to Matt Dunstone, but it was a tight game. So that was nice. And then, listen, the Jet game last night was, it's not like they played terribly or anything like that. I mean, it was a 3-2 game.
I was going to say the 3-game losing streak in Winnipeg is probably being looked at a lot differently than the Oilers losing to the Ducks last night.
Yeah, one game was in a shootout. The opposition goaltender's been the first star, I think, in 4 straight games. I mean, listen, they got to bury a few more chances, but I mean, it's not like they're not showing up. I did, however, turn over to that Oiler game.
Oh, man.
Amongst other games once we were finished. And, as I texted you last night, good thing we didn't put that Oilers minus 333 on the parlay to juice that thing up a little bit more. That was a big time yikes. I mean, like, it's bad enough against any team for that to happen, but the Ducks, I mean, I don't know. Listen, the Oilers are so good and their players are so elite at the high end. I mean, I'm not worried this team is going to be a playoff team, but I will say that they're sort of blowing a pretty nice opportunity to have home ice, at least through the divisional portion of it, to get a better matchup in that first round.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the standings right now in the West, the Jets have just had 1 point in their last 3 games. And of course, Dallas keeps on winning. I wasn't too upset that Dallas won last night because, of course, that was part of our successful locked-up partner parlay. So I can handle it. But, you've got Vegas right now that, is sort of taking advantage of this run that Edmonton is on. They've got 4 points and they've got a game in hand. And the Kings are right there. I mean, listen, if it's Kings-Oilers again in the first round, okay, fine. That's not going to get anybody excited. I was really hoping we'd see Vegas and LA in the first round, and then we could see it. Like, can you imagine if we had Edmonton, Colorado, round 1? McDavid, McKinnon going at it? I mean, that would be amazing. And I'm just saying this as a fan of the game. I mean, for the Jets do have 6 points on Dallas. Dallas has a game in hand. So that's really the fight right now for the West.
Yeah, well, and Colorado's only 2 points behind Minnesota as well. Like in that, so I think the Oilers would much rather, or whoever finishes in that top spot in the division, I think they'd rather go Minnesota than Colorado. Right.
Oh,
now,
for
right?
sure.
So,
for sure.
And I think Colorado's going to track down many. Many's had the injuries, and they're, I think Colorado end up finishing behind Dallas and Winnipeg, but it'll be interesting to see how they match up in the first round against, well, for example, Colorado, Dallas in the first round. Like, it's important for Winnipeg to hang on to top spot.
Well, exactly. I mean, if for some reason they didn't, we could get the exact same thing that happened last year.
Yeah, you're
Jets
right.
Avs in the first round of the playoffs. Now, granted, I think I feel better about their chances this year, considering what happened last season. And, they don't have Rantanen anymore. I mean, I don't think Colorado is quite where they were last season. But come playoff time, Nate McKinnon, it's the same thing with the Oilers. You could look terrible, and then you drop the puck in the playoffs and remind everyone that you've got the best player on the planet, and McKinnon's pretty damn close to 97. I mean, those guys can change games. But, it's going to be a fun final 20 games. I mean, right now, obviously, we're focusing in on the deadline. We, of course, played the Islanders last night, and I probably spent an hour yesterday talking about Brock Nelson. And then he goes in, he has a goal and an assist. He does an interview after the game on the bench. He's crying. Yeah. So that is definitely the fit. If there's a way, if the Jets can get Brock Nelson and add a piece or two to supplement the blue line, this is a team that, I think more than any point since 2018, you could say that this team could very well be in the Stanley Cup. Wouldn't that be something if in the midst of all of the chaos around us, it was this little team from Winnipeg that united a country and brought the Stanley Cup back north of the border?
The little team from Winnipeg uniting a country. That would be something. I don't think there would be, you know what? It's interesting because if the Leafs are in the Cup final, there would be Canadians cheering against them. If Edmonton's in the Cup, but if Winnipeg's in the Cup final, I do feel like most of the nation rallies behind that team.
Yeah, nobody hates us.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people don't think about us.
Yeah.
Or we're sort of not. I mean, that's the thing with the Leafs, with the Habs, with the Oilers, even the Canucks. They've got big time fan bases, but they've also got lots of people that can't stand them through rivalries and whatnot. And just the fact of the matter is the Jets have only been back in the league since 2011. They've been playing in a central division where they have no Canadian rivals. And the Canadian games are sort of more fun novelties throughout the regular season. Now, you get another Edmonton-Winnipeg playoff series, maybe that changes. But I think for the short term, and being right in the middle of the country too, I think you'd be able to have it. Now, again, that's a pipe dream right now. We got to get to the deadline and get to the finish line and start the first round. But listen, what Winnipeg has done so far this year is earned, I think, the confidence and faith of the fans that, have been a little burned by some tough playoff runs the last couple of years that ended quickly. But a lot of great teams, you have to fall first before you understand what it takes to fall down, pick yourself up, and persevere through it. So they got to do that right now with this little run that they're on. They go to Philly and Jersey. Jersey's another team. Speaking of teams that are struggling right now, they've lost 2 in a row. And don't look now, but they're in third place. The Blue Jackets are 4 points back with 2 games in hand on New Jersey. The Rangers are 6 back with 2 in hand on New Jersey. So, I mean, the Devils now without Jack Hughes, and we'll see how long that's going to be for. They're in a bit of a predicament right now. So funny. Did you see that end of that game? You were probably watching the Oilers at that time. I think it was still on. So Jets end. I know that we've got the Calgary game, and that was our plus money game. That was the early one. We were looking pretty good. We needed Dallas and Colorado to win. So once the Jets were done, we got Oilers on one TV. We got Dallas and Jersey on the other TV, and then Pittsburgh and Colorado.
And obviously the Lakers and Pelicans on a back TV somewhere.
No one cared about that. If anything, it would have been curling. But as
curling,
I said,
that's true.
When the Lock Shop Partner Parlay is live like that, we had to get those games on. So anyways, 8 minutes left in the third period. Dallas is up 3-1. Well, Jersey scores 2 right away, and all of a sudden it's tied. And I'm sitting there already thinking, like, okay, well, listen, if this partner parlay blows up, it better be in regulation. Jersey better score another goal. Dallas can blow it. I'll be able to live with that. But I don't want, a shootout win or something like that, or even worse, a shootout loss where they still get a point and it blows up the ticket. Anyways, very, very sketchy icing call with 4 seconds left. Sheldon Keefe's losing his mind, and wouldn't you know, Dallas gets the puck. Thomas Harley in with like 3 seconds left. I mean, he was nuclear. They were pissed. That's sort of the way things are going for Jersey right now. But we've got we then basically just had to sit back, and that Avs Pittsburgh game was tight. And then the doors blew open in the final 5 minutes of the game. I think they had 1 or 2 empty netters, and they got it done. So, anyways, it was nice. And then speaking of wins, you mentioned the POD. I was on that and following that as well. First of all, the McDavid goal, I know it meant nothing, and he didn't even smile afterwards. I mean, they were getting embarrassed by the Ducks at home. I get it. But, oh, my God, he took that puck with so much speed. And, I mean, you haven't seen a guy get burned that badly. I mean, that was beer league stuff.
Yeah.
You bring in the one really good guy that just decides, okay, I'm going to really try on this shift.
Yeah, the guy who plays overseas but comes back to Edmonton in the summer and then goes and plays like tier 3.
Yeah, like Div 6 game. That was what McDavid did to it. But anyways, I went back afterwards. I'm like, oh, wait a second. We need Draisaitl over 1.5. I knew we scored, but they had no other goals. Oh, nice little second assist on that one. So let's keep that rolling as well. What a run.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll take a look at the I'll see where we go today. We got to try to find a winner to keep this thing rolling. We are 7-0 tomorrow. I just got Bruce Boudreau is going to be on our show tomorrow. And I texted him. I said, hey, Bruce, just a reminder for tomorrow, 9:05. And then I said, and we'll also have to hit on Cena's heel turn. And he replies, he goes, of course. Yes, of course we will.
I'm setting my alarm right now.
Bruce Boudreau on Cena's heel turn tomorrow morning, 7:05 on the Nielson
Show. He was there too. I think
he was there. Yeah, he was going to see Kevin Owens. Like he's a big Kevin Owens guy, right? So
Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn beat the hell out of each other. Man, those guys, great. One of the great rivalries.
I wonder if Bruce is in a box there, or if he's got a sign and he's in like the 4th row with face paint on.
You didn't see on the Elimination Chamber? He was in a Cena shirt and he was bawling at ringside once that heel turn happened.
No, you're messing with me.
He was in tears.
No, are you Joe? Are you serious right now? Oh God, I thought you were serious, man. You almost had me going. I was like, because it sounds like something Bruce would do. I was like, I got to go back on Netflix. I got to scroll back and find this. God,
tell them tell them when you're talking to him tomorrow. You've heard people say that they thought that he might have been there in tears at ringside after the shocking turn.
Oh, you scared me. You scared me. You know what? We asked We asked Wyshynski today, who's also a big wrestling fan. We asked him today, how he sees it playing out. And he talked about, kind of like you said, Cena, good guy by the end. Huss, and then I said after, and some people had texted in, they're like, Dusty, this would be. So he teams up with The Rock. They go through this whole, the heel thing. Then he flips on The Rock. Is there any way Cena's final match is against The Rock after flipping on him? Or does he wrap up against, I just think they had this rivalry forever. He teams up, then he flips on him, and then that's like his final match is against The Rock at one of the major events or something like that.
Yeah.
If they hated each other for so long, then I think that would be perfect.
I don't mind your fantasy booking, Dusty.
Yeah, I'm doing it.
You'd make a great member of the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, which is quite a collection of characters. I love it.
I didn't even know that was
by
a
the
thing,
way,
but I love it. That's great.
I got to get into the chat here. Yes. Oh, Matt Hyman mentioned it was him that asked for the afternoon delight, and I delivered.
Good.
More than 8-1. So Jake and Patty are here. Shout out to the boys.
Patty will be with us in about 10 minutes.
Okay. Jake Bolin Moss are Leaf fan, or their fans rooting for my Leafs tonight. Oh no, here it is. Would Huss and Winnipeg cheer for the Leafs if they were in the finals? I need to know that before I delve deeper. And then Patty says, we know Huss would be because he wants to see his guy, big game Mitch Marner.
Oh, gross. Gross.
Hey, you know what? Mitch Marner did become a little bit big gamer for us. That was the weird thing about the Four Nations. Cheering. And listen, I never hated Mitch Marner. I just thought he disappeared in big games and was overpaid and all that business with the contract negotiations turned me off, but it turned a lot of Leaf fans off too. So I wasn't alone, but cheering for guys like Binnington, like Brad Marchand, you can sort of wrap your head around it. I will be honest, prior to this, if you would have told me this scenario, I would have said there's probably no way I could wrap my head around cheering for the Leafs or the Habs. I've always basically said, screw the other teams. I want my team to be the team that ends the drought for Canada to win.
Are you going full Cena heel turn here?
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not doing that. I've always been that. This might be a face turn to to Jake's point. With all the BS we're dealing with right now, I think this is not I just the way I feel right now with everything between Canada and the States. I think I would cheer for any Canadian team in the Stanley Cup final, even one that in previous years would not have had my full support. I will say that. Now, there are probably other Canadian teams I would choose before the Leafs.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I mean, and it wasn't just a Leaf thing. I mean, it was Leafs, it was Habs, it was Oilers. I mean, the Oilers went all the way last year. I was sort of pulling for them at the end.
To try to complete the story type of thing?
Connection with you guys. I knew it would be so great. And frankly, I know McDavid's going to get one at some point. So at that point, may as well let him get the damn thing. And then hopefully other people can win. But I will go on record right now. If for some incredible reason that a U.S. team is representing the West and the Leafs make the Cup final in the East, yes, guys, I will put my support behind Toronto. However, despite what the odds will tell you, I think there's a much better chance of Winnipeg or maybe even Edmonton getting there.
I'll just
Leafs need to win that division. Win your guys' division, and let's see Tampa and Florida beat the hell out of each other in the first round first. That's what needs to happen, and that's why you can't be losing to San Jose. I'll
make my view on this very clear. I will never cheer for the Toronto Maple Leafs to win a Stanley Cup. I can't do it. I was a Habs fan growing up as a child. I would rather see the league canceled than the Toronto Maple Leafs lift a Stanley Cup. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. There's other teams I hate. Like I hate Boston. I'd rather watch Boston lift a cup than the Maple Leafs. I just couldn't do it. I could probably throw my support behind every other Canadian team, but I just don't think I'm not good. I couldn't do it. I could never be like, yes, they're up 3-1.
I'm a bigger man now. I see larger problems, larger scenarios. But as I say, hopefully I won't have to worry about that. And our team here will just keep on rolling. Although we could use a win or two. They're in Philly and Jersey heading into the deadline. Hey, let's
5 games
quickly. What's the obviously Trent Frederick didn't save the team yesterday. Yeah. He's not there. What's the word on him? Like, are they potentially not even going to see him in a lineup until the playoff?
I mean, there was that was what Chris Johnson said yesterday, but I think people are probably thinking like 3 weeks maybe. So hoping to see him before the playoffs, I would think. But yeah, I mean, the follow-up from last night, buddy, and even watching it, like when they were on the road trip, I was like, back off a break on a road trip. Not easy. Last night was the first time when I watched them play that I doubted that maybe they're not a really good hockey team. Like, it was just like, what's going, like, and their coach last night, Knobloch, again, after the game, talked about how fragile they are. Like, they score first. It's McDavid, a beautiful setup to Draisaitl. The place is rocking. They give up a goal, that one was not on Pickard. It was a horrible turnover by Draisaitl, right to Leo Carlsson in front of the net. He goes up top. It's 1-1. And then Pickard let in a bad goal a couple minutes later, and they fell behind 2-1, and they just, like, folded. They just folded. Then later on, they gave up 2 goals in 10 seconds, and it's 4-1 at the end of the period. Draisaitl has been the model of consistency so far for this team this year. And even he was brutal last night. Nurse has had a good season. He was no good last night. Their bottom 6 literally does nothing. Connor Brown has 1 goal in the last 30 games. Matthias Janmark has 2 goals, but neither of them involved him actually using his stick to shoot the puck past a goaltender all season. So it's just like last night was the first time. Like, they looked broken. They looked broken last night, and I was just like, man, maybe this is going to be a bit of a slide. Even though it's already been a slide, like maybe the slide continues. And then when they get Montreal rolling in here tomorrow, having won 5 in a row, half the building is going to be Habs fans, if not more, because Oilers fans, with the way they're playing right now, probably be more willing to sell their tickets to Habs fans than usual. And with the deadline looming, I mean, it was like this morning was the first time I came in and I was like, man, maybe people should be okay to push the panic button a little bit with this group.
We probably won't, but maybe we can get a nicer line on the Oilers tomorrow night. I mean, I don't think the Oilers are going to be anything short of a -2.
At least somewhere in there, favorite. Yeah.
But you know what? This is time for Connor to say, boys, get on my back. I think I'm going over 2.5 points for McDavid tomorrow.
Wow, yeah, because he hit the 2 last night. He hit the 2 last night, and he was, I think, the first 10 minutes of the game, he looked like Four Nations McDavid. You're like, oh, man, there's 0 chance he allows them to lose tonight. And then he finished -2. Like, their power play went 2 for 2, but they allowed the Ducks to score 6 even strength goals in the hockey game last night. So, and the Ducks have been playing better lately, but come on, man. Like, that's just unacceptable. So
the funny thing is, you say Four Nations McDavid. I don't know if you disagree, but like, we all remember him scoring the goal, but I didn't think he was particularly great in the tournament. I mean, I thought in the final he was very underwhelming. He had, was it the first game against Sweden? I think it was the first game against Sweden. I thought he was buzzing. Really, like, I thought he was flying in that game. Yeah.
And what did he finish with? He finished with like 3 goals and 5 points in 4 games. But in the final, buddies texted me being like,
the standard for McDavid is impossibly high. Like, compared to everybody else, absolutely, he was one of the best players.
But I think he has like 1 5-on-5 point in his last 11 games. It's
that
crazy.
Minus number was ridiculous. That keeps on coming out.
Well, yeah, and tacked on -2 more last night. So, I mean,
with 2 points.
Yeah, with 2 points and -2. So. Tough one last night. Both the points coming on the power play. Patty's going to be back in like 5-6 minutes. So let's dive into the NHL slate tonight. We've got 5 games. Have some starting goalies confirmed, not all of them. The Rangers, they've been rolling. They are going to go with Shesterkin. He's listed as likely. Charlie Lindgren, unconfirmed at this point for Washington. Logan Thompson picked up the dub a couple of days ago. The Chicago Blackhawks, Arvid Soderblom is confirmed to start for Chicago. Ullmark for the Ottawa Senators. Aiden Hill for the unconfirmed, I guess, Toronto and Vegas tonight. Jake, you're over in the chat. You might have better tabs on this. But Stolars and Aiden Hill unconfirmed there. And then Kemper and Bington unconfirmed. And John Gibson, the Ducks playing again tonight in Vancouver. Lankinen unconfirmed there for the Vancouver Canucks. So, Huss, we got 5-game Wednesday night slate here. What are you liking?
Yeah, by the way, Jets number 1 in chat says, Huss, talk me down from the ledge. Dallas is worrying me for first place. Talk Jets fans down from the ledge? Come on, in first place. Like, geez Louise. I was just about to say, listen, it is a little tighter than it was a week ago. That's going to happen. There are 2 head-to-head games. So, I mean, if the next week doesn't go well and they lose at home to Dallas next week, I think then we've got a real race right now. We already do have a race. Listen, Dallas is an excellent team. They're pushing for number 2 in the league. So, there's no, we weren't going to get an X and a Y beside the team's name with 20 games left in the season. So, I think the good thing is we can just focus in on the trade deadline for the next 2 days.
Yeah. And
then, see what happens next week. Speaking like kind of an interesting, like the Jets do play some good teams next week. They go Philly, Jersey, and then in Carolina Sunday, back home for the Rangers on Tuesday, and then that big game on the Friday night against the Dallas Stars.
We see Dallas this weekend, Saturday.
Good. Well, it'd be nice if you guys could get your act together and help out a fellow Canadian team with a win. Anyways, to tonight's games. Hey, Jake and Pat, by the way, in the chat, I'm just looking at this Vegas Leafs. Do the Leafs have for some reason, I'm feeling that the Leafs consistently do quite well in Vegas. I could pull that up, but I don't know. Feel free to put your thoughts in on this game tonight. Well, Anaheim playing on the second end of back-to-backs against the Canucks, although the Ducks actually have been like the Ducks have quietly, Dusty, started to win some games. They're actually over 500 right now. They're 6-3-1. They've gained ground on Vancouver, Calgary, LA, and Edmonton, all in their past 10 games. And they are only 4 points back of the Vancouver Canucks and 6 back of the Flames with a game in hand. If Anaheim were to go in and win this game tonight against Vancouver, they legitimately put themselves into this playoff race. And I did not think we'd be saying that. Another huge game for St. Louis as well. Like the Blues at plus 135 in LA against the Kings. They had their way with the Kings just earlier in the week. They've been on a real run. Like sometimes, you're looking at teams that have been better all season long and you know that they probably should be favored. But Dusty, there's something to be said about these teams that are playing for their playoff lives. Anaheim is one of those teams. We saw it last night in Edmonton. St. Louis is definitely one of those teams. And the New York Rangers at home against the Capitals are another team that is in that situation. And, I kind of think the Rangers have responded pretty well to their predicament right now. I mean, they've won 4 of their last 5. And they're coming off of back-to-back shutouts. Yeah,
they're shutting it down a bit. Right? They've only allowed 6 goals in their last 5 games, 7 goals in their last 5 games.
Yeah, they got them all out in that first game out of the break when they gave up 5 in the first period against Buffalo
and 8 against the Sabres. Yeah.
Since they've been that's happened, they've been almost a different team. And then you think about Washington, where they're at right now. I mean, they had that nice lead. They blew it. They won an OT against Ottawa. But other than that, they lost to the Blues, the Lightning, and the Flames, all at home coming out of the break. These teams know each other really well. I'm leaning the Rangers as a home dog in this game tonight, at plus 102. I don't know how you feel about that one, but
no, I like it. I put this on. I moved that total to 6.5 this morning and made it the Nielsen show play of the day. It was like a little chalky. It was like minus 137, but I would expect a pretty tight hockey game. And I like the Rangers with Shesterkin and net in a tight game with the way they've been playing lately. So a plus number on the Rangers at home, I think is really good value. So I would totally back you on that one. The Ducks at plus 180. I mean, we usually don't throw plus 180s into the parlay. What were the Flames last night? What was that, like a plus 135?
Plus 130, I think.
Okay.
Plus 130 or
plus 180 is pretty big. But like Anaheim has points in 8 of their last 9. The only game they didn't get points in, I think they got doubled up by Chicago. Like outside of that, they've got points in 8 of their last 9 games. This is the best the Ducks have played in years. And I think watching them last night, I think one of the reasons for this, well, a couple of reasons. One, the goaltending. Dostal was great, and they've been getting some good goaltending lately. And they've got these young guys who I think are just starting to, get more and more confident as the season rolls along, right? So, and the Canucks, with the way things have gone in Vancouver and the deadline looming and the Elias Paterson conversation, it would not surprise me for the Ducks to lose a game, or the Canucks to lose a game at home here a couple of days before the deadline with everything that's gone on there. So, we usually don't do the plus 180. I got some time for it in this situation if there's nothing else that we really love, and it's only a 5-game slate.
Listen, I'm here for it. I am here for it. The Canucks coming off a 5-game road trip where they won 1 game. First game back after a road trip. I think there's a lot of
their first
concern
game
around
back.
the team in and around the deadline. Paterson is MIA. Brock Besser might be dealt. And the Ducks they're going to have so much energy. It's a young team. They just beat Edmonton last night.
Short flight from Edmonton over to Vancouver. Not a lot of travel.
Okay, well, how about this then? I think we then just leave the Vegas game. These other 2 games are tight. They're both plus 135 road dogs, minus 159 home teams. The Ottawa number isn't that bad. Now, I know Spencer Knight was great in his first spot, but speaking of teams that are absolutely desperate, look at Ottawa's situation right now. You've got Columbus that has been playing great, that has the 68 points. They have 1 game in hand, and could actually, if they win this game, they would leapfrog Detroit and the Rangers into the second wildcard spot. I know they lost that game to Washington, but when you looked at their schedule, they had the Sharks, they won, they go Capitals, they're at the Blackhawks, and then their next game is, this was it. They had 2 of the top teams in the league and 2 of the worst teams in the league. They lost to the Jets and Caps. They beat the Sharks. This is just a game that they simply have to have.
Losing 6 of 7, man, they got to have this one. I
know it's minus 238, and I know Spencer Knight had that brilliant start, but the Blackhawks are still the Blackhawks right now. Well,
they gave up 42 shots in that game. Spencer Knight stood on his head. It's not like they locked it down. So Ottawa, minus 238, Anaheim, plus 180, and then the Rangers at home, plus 102. That's a plus 703 pre-boost us. Jeez,
Let's do it. Taking a couple swings and a couple nice underdogs. Ooh, and while we're at it, just before we bring on Patty, or maybe we want to bring on Patty and do this, I'm just noticing that speaking of those Vancouver Canucks,
there he is.
We've got some Brock Besser.
Ooh, we got a little trade update here on the deadlines.
There's some new ads on the trade bait board.
Okay.
The Rantanen number, first of all, the Rantanen number that's been going down and down is now any other team plus 145. That started off at plus 300. And again, I got burned by taking Seth Jones to stay with the Blackhawks at plus 300, and that's already gone. Scott Lawton, seems like people are thinking the Leafs for this. Scott Lawton, what team will he be on after the deadline? Flyers minus 200, any other team plus 120, Leafs plus 450. Probably some value with any other team. It's highly likely that he does get traded. I don't know whether it's a fait accompli. He's going to Toronto. Braden Shen, St. Louis minus 250. Leafs. What is it? They're just putting the Leafs. Will these guys go to the Leafs or any other team? Hilarious. And then Rasmus Ristolainen. What organization will he be with on March 8th? Minus 227. Any other team plus 150. That's another guy that the Jets would be interested in. And Joel Armia, Habs, even money, any other team minus 145. Another guy that's actually, I know the Jets have been kicking around on him.
Any other team on Braden Shen is interesting at plus 170. We had Wyshynski on today, and he goes, it just reeks of Vegas. Played in Brandon, the McCrimmon connection. Like Vegas usually gets one of these guys every year, and you can get any other team right now at plus 170 on Braden Shen. So
Kelly will kidnap Armstrong and force him to take half the salary, and they'll have Braden Shen for 3.25 for the next 3 seasons.
Yeah, another great deal there. All right, let's bring in Patty. We are going to talk some golf for sure. Arnold Palmer Invitational. We'll give you the bets on that. But Patty, which one of these guys ends up on the Leafs? Who do they get?
Well, according to the odds, I think they're in on everyone, right? Which is pretty funny. Just to give you guys a little bit of an insight of what goes into for us to choose these. Normally, it's just, we just take some of the buzz guys when looking at like maybe the TSN trade board or what Sportsnet's cooking up. Canadian teams that could be in on things, but with the new relationship with Puckpedia, we've been using a lot of their data in regards to what are with the GM feature, who are people trading away, where are these trades happening? So we're taking the information from them, who are guys that we're seeing quote unquote traded from the Puck GM feature on there, and then we're adding some that way. You mentioned the Rantanen line. Coolbet Social threw out a wild tweet of how much movement has been on that. It's pretty crazy, but I think there's been a lot of steam on Scott Lawton to potentially be with the Leafs. Is at plus 450. There's a lot of value on there. I mean, me personally, I think Dylan Cousins would be awesome for them to pick up. I don't know if he's gonna, end up there. Buffalo probably doesn't want to make a division rival any better. Braden Shen at plus 350 is intriguing, but man, oh man, plus 170. He absolutely seems like a Vegas Golden Knight, doesn't he? Mm-hmm. All the connections you mentioned, but I could just see him out there buzzing around, hitting everything in sight, scoring big goals, getting in front of the net. Like he's just a Vegas guy. He is an absolute Vegas guy. They're due every deadline to get at least one guy where everyone's like, I really wanted him to go to our team. I really wanted to go to our team. So that's always the big thing here. But of course, I would love Lawton. I'd love Shen, love Cousins, but I really don't know who is going to end up here in Toronto.
Well, we got just over 48 hours until the deadline, and then Friday's going to be absolutely incredible. And we'll have a bonus coverage here on Friday for the trade deadline for the Oilers, and obviously Huss will be doing extra stuff for WST as well. All right, boys.
Hey,
go ahead.
Just on that, can I put a request in? If they can get a little Brock Nelson action on that trade board. He's number one on most of the boards. I think after seeing him borderline crying on the bench, it seems like it's likely that he's being traded. There'd probably be a lot of people interested in that. I can tell you that there would be around here, as he would be a nice add to the hole in the middle of our top 6 going into the playoffs. But we're going to just have to keep on paying attention to this every few hours to see what gets added on or taken off as we get closer to it. But the Rantanen thing is just nuts to me. The fact that this number has gone down, 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 and there is the possibility that they just have to punt on him after trading freaking Marty Nakash, who has another year on his contract, or they could have traded in the offseason, who was their leading scorer at the time, and Jack Drury, who was their number 3C.
And apparently they're going to eat half the salary that they have. Like he could be like a $2.5 million player. That's why the Leafs apparently are on in them. And if you lose out on Mitch Marner in the offseason, now you at least have an opportunity.
He'd be
maybe
2.25 if they ate another 50%, because he was $9 million. It goes down to 4.5. If you took another 50%, it would be 2.25.
Crazy, right? Crazy. And the big tie with Toronto is, okay, like you mentioned it, Mitch Marner, are they going to re-sign him? Are they not? Of course, Rantanen's contract is expiring, but at least you have a little bit of, leeway that maybe there's another guy that you can sign. Me personally, like fantasy, I love the chaos. Give me all the chaos. I would love to see for them to move, not just to Toronto, but anywhere for that matter. Now that you say that, maybe Vegas with 2.5 million,
of course,
they'll be
Vegas
able to figure out a way.
Yeah, of course, Vegas.
Probably will
like,
be
let's
Vegas.
just be honest. They're bringing in Shen and Rantanen, or Florida's getting them. Like Florida's going to, Rantanen's going to go to Florida. It's just, it's those teams. They find ways. So
I know. I think in likelihood, based on the odds, although like I said, they've been moving like crazy, there's a good chance he stays put and they figure things out. And he's a good player. He's going to figure things out. I just don't see a team that's in the hunt just punting on a guy that you gave up a lot of assets for.
All right, we got to get into some golf, boys, because the big boys have come out to play. It's an excellent lineup this week. Patty, what do you like? What do you like here at the Arnold Palmer?
The question should be, what don't I like?
You're just taking a shotgun up to the board, like spray everywhere.
Yeah.
What about this Scheffler number right off the bat? I mean, it's Scheffler.
I think we have to
like
stop
Scheffler
there.
or the field? I think that's the first question that we have to get to. Plus 333. Oh,
I know it's pretty crazy. I guess if we want to start with the Scheffler thing, like me personally, like I'm not going to stomach that. Although like he's won here twice, he has dominated at this golf course. He has a lot of course history. He's the best player on the planet. If you want a piece of Scotty, but you can't stomach that number, Coolbet right now does have some Scotty Scheffler specials.
Okay,
Scheffler to finish inside the top 3 plus 150, which is an insane number to think about. Sheff by 2 strokes plus 500. Scheffler to win by 3 strokes plus 650. Sheff to win by 4 plus 950. And then Scotty Scheffler wide to wire 20-1. I think I might sprinkle that one there just for fun if I'm not going to.
I mean, a 20-1 number for him to just have an awesome week from start to finish. Way easier to swallow than the 3-1. Like,
yeah, why not? Scheffler over under 70.5 for his first round score, minus 139 for under, plus 100 for over, and then a couple other parlays in there as well. But the one that includes him, Rory and Scheffler both to finish top 5 plus 375. That feels like that should be a bigger number, but both these guys have been unbelievable at Bay Hill. So to answer your question, Huss, in a long-winded answer, I don't think I'm going to bet him outright, but he is going to appear in my cards some way because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to have 5 outright bets. I'm going to bet someone after day 1, and Scotty's just going to win on Sunday. So I have to have a backup plan.
If we're lucky, maybe if we're lucky, he'll be like 5 or 6 shots off the lead after round 1. And then you can get in on Scheffler at a more reasonable number, knowing that he's entirely capable of making that up in a round, never mind 54 holes.
That seems to be the play with Scotty. We always know, like, if he's within striking distance, he can come back. The one thing, like, everything that does scare us about Scotty Scheffler too is the putting. Like, it seems like every time I ride with him at a low number, it's like the putting completely nukes him. But this is such a difficult putting course that it kind of neutralized some of the bad putters because everyone is going to really struggle with the flat stick. So, like, unless you're going to back a guy that can really, really heat up, like, I feel like the playing surface is going to be leveled out a little more, and driver accuracy is going to be more important. Ball striking is going to be more important. Approach is going to be more important. So I kind of sunk my teeth a little more into those. Of course, yes, you want a guy that putts better than he does not. Like, losing strokes with your putter, definitely not a good thing, definitely not a good approach. But I looked into some of those other numbers a little more rather than putting, just because I think everyone's going to struggle with the flat stick here.
Hey, boys, I actually got to run just a little early today just because I got to do something before we get going. Can I fire up my
1,000th show? Because of the 1,000th
Yeah, not a big deal.
Special time.
Yeah, let's
fire them out.
The guy gets 1,000 shows in and bails on the lock shop. Unbelievable. Can you believe this? Oh, my God. Okay, what do you got, Huss?
So, listen, loaded field, historic course. I'm not sure we're going to be getting a winner like we had last year with the guy that was last week that was wearing the sombrero, Highsmith, at whatever, 125-1. We talked about Scotty. Could he win? Absolutely. He's probably likely to win. That's why you have a Tiger Woods-esque in his prime number of just over 3-1 to win the tournament. I'm not going to go with Rory. I will plunk down on Ludwig, though. He's already won one of the signature events this year. He has the game to play with anybody. Little sour that he wasn't with the Bay on the weekend that cost us the double in the TGL. Shout out to New York though for getting it back the next day as a -103 underdog. But to me, Oberg is the one player that when you look at the numbers of Scheffler and McIlroy, I can handle. Like, put it this way, I don't probably think that Ludwig should be 16-1. But because of the inflated numbers for Scotty and Rory, we can get a world-class player that has already won, that is right there with these guys, or as close to it as anybody else on tour, I should say, at that number. So I'll drop it on Ludwig at 16-1. And the other guy, and I think I missed a better number when this first came out, but I'm not surprised that it's come down a little bit, is JT. Now, I spent last year fading JT the entire season. I'm not sure I bet him a single time. But as we've seen the start of this year, like, listen, we know that he's too good to be where he was last year. He's worked his ass off. He's played well. And this is going to sound crazy. I think the TGL, in some ways, has really helped Justin Thomas. I mean, before he was so like wound up and stiff, and I think put so much pressure on himself. I think the failures of last year, the fun he's having with the Atlanta Drive, don't sleep on them in the playoffs, has put him in a pretty good place right now. And it feels to me like he's on the verge of breaking out again. He's won majors. He's gone toe-to-toe with every single guy in this field. If he's feeling it, he'll feel like he can win, and he certainly can do it. So the two guys I'm going to jump on, and again, I think this group, the winner, is probably going to come from the top 10 names on this board, is going to be Ludwig Oberg, Justin Thomas. I'm in for either of those guys, top 20 for the parlay. And then, I didn't want to just make the two picks, so I kind of went down the list. And our guy Akshay is at 80-1 here. And I mean, there's a big drop off between the 66s and then Akshay. And to me, this is just a value play. He is going to win at some point. When he is really feeling it, he can play with the top guys. Now, can he do it for 72 holes on a course like this against Scheffler and McIlroy? I mean, probably not, but that's why he's 80-1. But I'll tell you, of that group further down the list, that was the number that stuck out to me. I'm going to put a smaller sprinkle on Akshay Bhatia at 80-1, but Ludwig at 16, JT at 22-1 will be the picks. And I will leave it to you fellows to finish up the partner parlay. And I mean, man, we missed last week's by one stroke. One stinking bogey by Billy Ho on the 17th hole. So we're right around it right now, guys. Positive momentum from things like yesterday's partner parlay, the run for the plays of the day. Good luck with that today, Dusty.
Yeah,
I'm auto riding it. No matter what you throw out, I'm in. And for those of you like Matt Hyman who was wondering about another afternoon delight, stay tuned to WST. We'll, right around 3:15, we'll be diving into the Coolbet lines. And we'll need to get it in right away because the first rocks will be thrown at 3. But if you are into the Briar, it is all up right now. Great odds at Coolbet. And right now I'm starting to see the board pretty well there as well. Fellas, thank you for everything. Pat,
congrats on 1,000 shows, buddy.
Congrats.
You got it, fellas. We'll see you tomorrow in the lock shop. Enjoy.
All right, there you go. That's us. Winnipeg Sports Talk 1000th show coming up here at 12 o'clock Edmonton time over in the WST channel. Of course, we'll have Oil Stream with myself and Tommy in about 10 minutes as well. We got Huss's picks there. Patty, where are you going for this one? Who do you got?
So I just want to bring up one thing. I put it in our group chat, but I wanted to throw this out there. Matt Vincenzi, great follow.
I love looking at his stuff. He's got a big Pendy. He loves Pendy this week.
Oh, I know. He tweets out this: winners of all 6 regular events this season have been longer than 71 to win pre-tournament. The winners of the 3 signature events have been big names at shorter prices: Hideki, McIlroy, and Aberg. Those 3 guys are all inside the top 6 in the world ranking. So I'm with Huss. I think this is a big name. I do have a couple bets a little bit further up the board just to kind of, hedge my bets, so to say. But I think it's a big dog winning this week. So I'll start. I'm not taking the bait with Scotty, but I am going to bet Rory. I bet him at 9-1. He's down to 8-1.
Okay.
I'm getting on Rory here because I know this is Arnold Palmer's place, but Rory, he loves this spot as well. He's won here back in 2018, but he also has 3 top 5 finishes here as well. He's got 8 finishes of 13th or better in 10 career starts.
What a run. That's incredible. That's incredible.
Insane. And he also has, really good form coming into this as well, Dusty. Top 10 consecutive top 25 finishes. He won at Pebble Beach this year, T17 at Genesis, and a win at the Dubai Desert Classic. I think this is a great spot for Rory. There are not many guys that can dethrone Scotty, like Huss said. Rory is one of those guys. I'm on Ludwig as well. I won't go into that. 16-1 is a phenomenal price. I'm also on Akshay. Back-to-back top 10 finishes for him. He is going to pop at some point. It's a long shot at this event, but I think he's due for a signature win. And last but certainly not least, a guy that I've been on a lot this year, hasn't picked up the win, but he has been one of the consistent players on tour so far. Mav McNeely, 50-1. He's been firing on all cylinders coming into this year. 3 top 10 finishes. That's half his appearances this year have finished inside the top 10. Pretty remarkable stuff. A T2 at the Genesis, a T9 at the Phoenix Open, T8 at the Sony, and we know he won his first tour event in the Fall Swing, and ever since then, confidence has been through the roof. He's 6th in this field in strokes gained putting, 9th in strokes gained ball striking, and 10th strokes gained total over the past 24 rounds. This is the one that blew my mind. He is all the way up to 12th in the world golf rankings based on the way that he started this year and that win at the RSM. He has been on fire, and all of a sudden now he's not just this up and coming great player. Like, he is on the cusp of being an elite player on tour. So I like him at 50-1 as well.
Okay, we're going to build this parlay. We got just a couple minutes. I'm with Huss and Justin Thomas. I like Hideki at 25-1. Okay. 9 for 10 at Bay Hill, 3 top 20 since 2021. He's got 4 top 25s and a win already this year, and he's coming in off a couple weeks off. So Hideki should have a lot of juice here. He hasn't played in a couple of weeks. So I like Hideki at 25-1. Obviously, as I mentioned, with Huss at JT. And then a couple other guys further down, and just we've seen them at much better numbers because of weaker fields. But I'm going to have a little bit on Shane Lowry. He's at plus 5,000. He's obviously had a pretty good season so far. And then you've been on Russell Henley a few times as well. Russell Henley's down in that plus 5,000 as well. So I like Henley and Lowry a little bit further down the board, but I do like JT and Hideki up in that top 10-ish range as far as the odds that we're looking at this week over at Coolbet. So Huss and I are both in on JT, so I think we could definitely throw him in. And you guys are both on Aberg as well, right? So, yeah. I mean, there's 2 guys for a top 20. And then do we look further down the board for a top 20, or do we just go chalky here and throw one of these other Top Guns in there?
I think it's going to be a Top Gun tourney, so I think we stick with the big dogs. I honestly, like Decky, I would be quite fine with that. Lowry, I think he's a guy that can have some pop here. Obviously, I'm on McNeely. Both. Do we want to get risky? Like, if we're going to get risky, I would maybe put Bhatia on there, because both Huss and I are.
Yeah, you guys are both on him. I mean, what'd you say? Back-to-back top 10s? Different fields, though.
Way different fields.
Yeah.
I mean, JT, Decky, and Oberg kind of has a nice little ring to it. I mean, you guys are both on JT. We're both on, Huss and I are both on Aberg, and I know he's a fan of Decky, regardless.
Well, he's got 4 top 25s already this year, right?
The only only other. I think if we want to go with a little bit of a shorter number, because if we go, I'm just gonna guess here. We'll say Oberg. What did we say? Oberg, JT, and Decky, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably. I think it's still going to be a pretty big number.
Think so?
I think. Let's just see here. Let me. This is great podcasting. I think you're looking at like plus 400 somewhere around there.
I mean, that's not like the crazy 12s, 13s that we roll out, but also those are three pretty chalky guys that we're going with.
But if we want to go up the board and get a little bit crazy here and go with a Batia, you're probably not increasing it that much though. Like we'd be maybe better off instead going 4 chalkier guys like Ludwig. Maybe we go like Rory. Yeah. And maybe just add Rory to it.
Just add Rory to it.
Let's do that.
Let's just do it. Let's just add. I don't think anybody's going to be opposed to Rory in the top 20 at this event. So, okay, let's add Rory to that. So we'll have Rory.
That's going to be like 600, I guess.
Yeah. So Rory, Hideki, JT, and Auberg into the parlay this week. Perfect. Beautiful.
I love it. I love it. Let's fire it up.
Okay. Excellent. Good stuff, man. And we'll see how this thing starts tomorrow. We'll be following the leaderboard, obviously, during the lock shop tomorrow. We have Oil Stream coming up right away. Some trades already today in the National Hockey League. That is on the way. Thank you very much for joining us today on the lock shop. And Patty, enjoy your Wednesday night, buddy. I
will. You guys enjoy as well. Congrats again to Huss on 1,000 shows. And Let's to celebrate. Let's cash a ticket here.
Let's do it. That would be a great way to celebrate. You know how that's how he would like to have it happen. For Huss and Patty, I'm Dusty. Thank you very much for joining us today. Best of luck tonight, and we'll talk to you tomorrow on the Lock Shop.